Hi, we are now live. Here we go. We gotta lean into these microphones. Hi, I'm Katerina.
And I'm Christine.
And we are here for our live real estate workshop that Custom Life does every week. And I did not warn Christine about the topic ahead of time, so she's just walking into it. But I felt really inspired this morning. I was actually talking, there are some new agents in orientation in the brokerage, and I started talking about you, and I was like, I know what our topic's gonna be. Christine is our newest agent on the Custom Life Realty Group. When did you get your license, Christine?
So I took the class end of June, took the test, and then officially was licensed end of July.
So license came in the end of July, so like a month and a half ago?
Correct.
What did you do this morning?
I went to my first closing.
Her first closing, a month and a half in. And if you're not in real estate, you might not understand how ridiculous that is. So when people come to me to talk about becoming licensed as real estate agents, I'm very careful to set expectations that like you might start getting stuff under contract somewhere between 3 to 6 months. That's a normal pipeline if you are all in doing this full time.
Yeah, I was told multiple times not to expect anything within probably the first 6 months, and so I think I came in like with very, I wouldn't say low expectations, but like very realistic expectations that that's what was gonna happen.
You're gonna hustle for
that
free.
It was gonna take time. I was not expecting things to kind of pick up the way that they have, especially because I keep hearing that the market is a little bit difficult right now, and so, you know, I think it's been a nice surprise that it's played out a little bit differently.
So, with that being said, before your closing this morning, how many deals did you have under contract?
4. So we currently have, yes, 4 under contract, and then 1 just closed. So 3 more coming.
That's insane. It's the point I'm trying to make is this is very impressive. To have 4 deals under contract in a month of being licensed is incredible. There are agents that have been crushing it for a long time that are struggling to have 4 deals under contract at once.
Right.
So, tell everybody, what did you do for work before you got into real estate?
So I went to college, got my degree in social work, and right out of school started working at Department of Social Services in Child Protective Services. I wasn't really sure if that's where I wanted to be, but that's just kind of what I fell into. And then
Sorry, don't mind me.
No, you're good. And then, so I ended up being in Child Protective Services for 6 years, investigating child abuse. So I kind of felt like that was where I was supposed to be. I was gonna continue in the investigation field and was gonna go up to the FBI. And then I started working for a nonprofit doing forensic interviewing for children who have been abused. And then I got pregnant and had a baby.
Mr. Easton.
And my whole world kind of flipped upside down. I was not expecting to feel the way that I felt during my maternity leave. I had every intention of going back after maternity leave. And
you did go back.
I did go back, yeah. I tried it.
You tried to go back.
But the whole time during leave, I was like, this just doesn't feel right. I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I don't want to have him in daycare. Me and my husband brainstormed different ideas of what we could do. And I had actually talked with Ashley a while ago about real estate and was kind of like interested and was like, and then I just kind of, pushed it away because I was like, oh, that's kind of a lot to do a whole career change, right? Like I'll just continue with what I'm doing.
And it came from a career that you were so successful in, and it was something that was going well and going down the path that you wanted.
Yeah, and I was and I still am passionate about it. But I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing in this season of my life, or maybe for the rest of my career. And so I met with Ashley and was like, hey,
Let's talk.
what do you think? And then I met with Kat, and I just kind of decided to take the leap. Luckily I have an amazing supportive husband who allowed me to just kind of follow my dreams and like what I felt like was right. And I just quit. I quit my job. We took him out of daycare, and we were like, we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. And took the class. I quit my job on a Friday. I was in the real estate course that Monday. So I took the class that whole week, took the test the week after, and
Just did the
officially
thing.
got licensed in the end of July. So
I remember telling I talk about business a lot with my parents. Like my dad and I, it's like a normal dinner conversation for us to talk business or like the economy.
I get it.
It's a weird
Yeah.
relationship.
No, that's how
It
yep,
happens,
that's
right?
how me and Brian are too.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember telling them about you, about Christine, and I was like, she's been a social worker during her adult life, and they were like, my parents were like, oh, she's gonna crush it. I was like, I know, because that career is so hard. And real estate's hard. It's a different kind of hard, but I think to be in a career, and we see it with teachers and social workers a lot of times, they come over into a career like this where there is a lot of emotional, what is the word, like burden that comes with managing this process, and stress, and the stakes are high, but not higher than they were at your job.
Right. And I think that's the difference is, I don't discredit the stress that anybody feels in their job, because everybody has
Different stresses.
and it affects everybody differently. But the level of stress and trauma that I dealt with every day, this felt like it was going to be a breeze in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And so even a very stressful day, and I've had them, like it's been busy. Like
Oh.
I've been busy.
Yeah, she's running around.
Like I feel like my head is just spinning constantly because I've just got so many things to think about and to do. But that to me feels easier than the other stress that I had, and the
The
heaviness of walking out of an interview with a child who had disclosed abuse. It's a different type of stress, and I am enjoying this type of stress.
I had a feeling.
I also think like the skills that you need to be a social worker to be successful at that is very transferable to real estate.
Oh, 100%.
So like a lot of just being able to make a connection with somebody very quickly. I had to be able to knock on someone's door and make it to where they weren't hostile towards me. And
in a tense situation.
Right. And so I had to like figure out a way to connect with them quickly. And I feel like it's just like that communication skill that you just can't always teach, right? You just kind of have to have it, and you have to know how to talk to people. And I feel like with real estate, you are kind of like, I think we joke that we're therapists, and you do have to be able to have those conversations with your clients and help them kind of calm down, right? Because the home buying process is really stressful for a lot of people. It's dealing with their money and
big life changes.
emotions, right? Life changes. And so I think being able to talk somebody through that thought process that they're having and not discredit their feelings at the same time is a skill.
It is, for sure. And I think that that's allowed you to enter this new role with a certain confidence that sometimes even seasoned agents don't have. And the confidence is so much a part of what makes real estate difficult. But you came in picking, like, focused learning, I think, and you've really picked stuff up quickly. And then also, you have the team to rely on. So
Absolutely.
there is no reason to be insecure in this
Yeah.
role because you have the knowledge behind
Yeah.
you.
That has been a thing I've, had to remind myself of, and then also my husband has reminded me, like, Christine, you know more than what you think you know. I do have a level of confidence, but when you are coming into something completely new, it is a big learning curve.
And these things are a big deal. They're
Right,
legally binding contracts
right.
that we're filling.
But I've surprised myself multiple times on how much I have known and how much I haven't had to rely on other people. And when I go back and I'm like, oh, this is what I said, they're like, oh, good job, that was correct. So it's been nice because I do feel like once I am told something or shown something once or twice, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right.
You are picking it up
Yeah.
very quickly. And I've seen that with you. I had a conversation with one of Christine's clients, and I think everything that I was saying to her, Christine had already said. And it was like a huge validation to her that she was doing the right thing. And like, it was very awesome for me as a team lead to see that you would come in and just like handled it with this security and like relying on the knowledge that you do have and
Right.
knowing that like this is what you've learned, this is what we're applying. And then having like the team in the back pocket for like if there's something you need to double check, that's there for you.
Absolutely.
So you know you can be confident.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what, you know, when somebody works with one of us, like we're all in the background.
You're really
able to
working with
help,
all of us.
Right. Able to step in and help if needed. We're all very supportive, and I don't think, honestly, I don't know if I would have came into real estate had that not been the case.
I tell people that anytime someone approaches me about getting into real estate, which happens fairly often, I first of all dissuade a lot of people, which is not in my favor, but like it doesn't help anybody to enter a career with false expectations.
Right.
Or like if somebody tells me what they're looking for in a career and it doesn't match up, then why would I not be honest about that? So there's been many times like where people are like, I want to be able to come home and shut it off. I'm like, this is not your career.
Right.
This is not it. But I have told people repeatedly, I'm like, even if my team is not the right fit here, if you do get in real estate, you need to be on a good team because this is such a big deal. And to get into a role like this where you are so much managing a part of people's lives that can impact them hugely, especially financially, to do that without the right mentorship and backup in place and the right collaborative environment,
Right.
to me it's such a bad idea.
Yeah. I'm big on teams, and like in the world of social work, you're not going to be able to make it unless you have a good like team and support. Like
Right.
you just can't do it. And so coming from that and that mindset, it was important for me to feel that same level of support and community that I did prior. And I just feel like it makes all of the difference.
Absolutely. And I feel like you fit so well with our team. It's such a natural fit. To me, it felt like so right, which I knew that. Like when Ashley first brought up, she's like, so Christine talked to me, and I was like, oh yes, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I've known Christine for a little while because we
Quite
shared
a few years.
Ashley
Yeah.
as a mutual bestie. So I knew who she was as a person, and I knew that she'd be very capable of this. And also I know the pressure that there is behind when you are a working mother who has certain goals for her family. It is not an option to slack off or to fail. And there is something, I remember Daniel, our broker, has told me many times in the past, he's like, this working mom thing that you have going with you and your team, if we could just harness that kind of energy, because like no one is more focused or more determined than a mother who is paying someone else to watch her child or who has left her child to do work. Like no one is going to show up more present than that woman, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like he's like, a big driving force, but also kind of my reasonings for going into this isn't to become a millionaire, right? Like my reasonings are my family. It is to be able to spend more time with him, but also to be able to help people. So that was something that I always loved. I got selfishly out of my career as a social worker, is that I got the opportunity to be involved in someone else's life in a vulnerable time and be able to help them through that. And I feel like in a different way, like you get to do that as a real estate agent too, right? Like you get to still help people find home. Like what is more exciting than like helping somebody find a place that is like their comfort.
Absolutely. And there are clients that you're going to have that you'll work with them and you'll realize that if someone was not really in their corner, they could be in real trouble in this. And there are people that probably could manage their own real estate transactions and get away with it. I don't think that's a good idea ever if you're not really familiar with the contract, but like, could it go smoothly for some people perhaps? But there are a lot of people, I would say the majority of people need someone who's really in their corner, and you are making a difference, you are helping. And then there's something about the kind of money you earn when the pipeline is good and the pipeline is full, and what you're able to do with those funds. And like I've been able to pay for people to be in places doing ministries that I would never be able to do on my own, but like my feet were there in those places because I was able to support those people.
Right.
You can't do that when you're struggling financially.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not an option.
Yeah. And, I want to be able to be present for my kids, but also work to be able to provide for them things that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. So trips, travel, culture, like getting to experience the world, like that's really important to me. And I want to be able to make that happen for my kids.
I mean, I definitely felt that, and I think you would agree with this, that like going into becoming a mother, something that I felt and feel very strongly is that what I would like my financial situation to be is that I make decisions for my children that are based on what is the best thing for them, not what I can afford.
Right.
And I think entering a career that when you are dedicated to it, you reap what you sow, and it brings you the kind of financial stability that allows you to make choices for your children based on what you think is best for them, not based on your financial situation, is an incredible gift to be able to give yourself, to give your family, and it's made a huge difference to me. I'm so thankful for that freedom.
Yeah. I mean, the freedom, yes, you can't turn it off when you come home. And
You can never turn it off.
That was a big thing with social work that I worked hard to do. I had
To turn it off?
strict boundaries.
As you
And
should
I get on everybody who doesn't have strict work boundaries, no matter what your career is. I get on my husband about it because I think there needs to be that separation if possible. Like you need to allow yourself to unplug and be present outside of work.
I think in real estate, what's cool about it, what I tell new agents all the time, because people love to, I'm like, why do you think you want to get into real estate? And they're like, the flexible hours. I'm like, oh yes, they're very flexible. You get to decide which 80 hours a week you work if you want to make good money. So like it's very flexible. Which 12 hours a day would you prefer? So I think especially in a harder market or newer or whatever it is a lot of work, and you can't disappear for a whole day. Like you have clients who are depending on you every single day. You have real estate agents who are going to reach out to you. Like if you actually want to sell a house, you have to be available, right? But you do get to pick those windows of time. So if it's like your bedtime routine with Easton or whatever it is, that time is yours to set aside.
Yeah. And that's what I've noticed is like, he was sick last week, and I got to sit on the couch and hold him. I worked before and I worked after he went to bed. But in that moment, he needed me to hold him, and I got to be there to do that. And I wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise. And that is like my reason why I come back to that every time. I'm like, this is why. And maybe it's because I'm new, but I enjoy the phone calls. I enjoy that type of work. To me, that doesn't feel as much like work. Like we do a lot behind the scenes that I feel like a lot of people don't know. But it's fun to me, and I enjoy. Like I've enjoyed it, even though
It's invigorating.
Right. Even though I am working all these hours, and it's hours I'm not used to working. Like we went to Baltimore to go to the aquarium last weekend, and I wrote an offer while I was there. But Easton was napping. Like I still got to go to the aquarium. I still got to experience this trip. But I also got to write an offer for my client while I was there. And to me, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
I still get to serve people while I'm also enjoying time with my family. Like, I love that aspect, right? And finding that new balance. Like, what does that new balance look like for me? Because it is no longer cutting it off at 4 o'clock, but it's the fact that I can put an offer in while I'm, traveling.
Right, and you can travel. And,
right.
I mean, you've seen me do it over the years. Like when my sister has lived in the United States, I go to the Keys all the time and visit her all the time. And and I can do that whenever I want. And I
Right.
work while I'm there. So I never get to take a vacation for a week where I'm not also working. That's not what it looks like.
Right.
But what it does look like is that if I do want to take my kids somewhere, I can. I have a goal for the end of the year. What I would like to do is, my sister's in Japan now. Boo hiss. Sucks. But I would like to visit her with my children in January. And honestly, like, I don't want to put a huge time limit on it, and I feel like I can do that. Like, I can go, I'm gonna have to work, it's gonna be really weird and wonky. I'm gonna have to set it up well. Yeah, the time difference is extreme, so it's gonna be like weird as heck, but I feel like there's no reason why I would have to limit the experiences that I have and that I have for my children, and the way that I show up for people can be so much greater in this position.
Right.
I feel like you feel that.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about, to have 4 deals under contract in a month, and to be a month and a half in and have your first closing this morning, and like, the deals are solid. Like, these are not like spaghetti thrown on the wall kind of deals. Like, they're very solid contracts, well done work. You have stuff in the pipeline that it's not like we can already see it, where it's not going to be 4 and then nothing for months. Like,
Right.
you have stuff that's already
Yes.
lining up. Talk about, if you wouldn't mind, like, what have you been doing? Because people have been asking me and I've been answering, but I would love to hear it in your
Right,
words.
right. Well, I think it's a mix, right? Like, I kind of came into this space wanting to not rely on just leads, right? And I feel like, so I've really, like, I want people who are in my sphere to want to work with me. I want them to trust me with this process. And so I've been really cultivating that space. And that has worked. So 2 of the 4 are personal clients who I knew prior to going into real estate, and trusted me. One of them is a buy. They purchased a home, and then also I sold their house.
Mhm.
So and it sold within a couple of days, so that was really awesome. And then a couple of them are leads, and so I've also been trying to cultivate that space and hit it from all angles. Also, social media is a big thing, obviously, we all know that, and I think it's just growing. So trying to put in the time and effort into cultivating that and making sure that people understand.
I think establishing yourself
Right.
as someone you can know, like, and trust.
Right,
As a real
exactly,
estate agent.
exactly. And that's harder than it looks.
It is very hard.
I've never had to think about social media in the past. I've
Mhm.
never had to, like, put thought into it. And so that's a whole job on its own.
Marketing
You know?
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's been a new venture for me that is work, but it's fun, right?
Mhm.
It's fun to try to navigate through all
Experiment.
of that, right? So I think I'm trying to kind of attack it at all angles, and also I feel like a lot of it is just connection.
Mhm.
It's connecting with people.
Mhm.
It's making them feel comfortable with you from that first conversation.
Mhm.
And I feel like when you do get a lead from somebody you don't know that person, you have to make them feel comfortable with you, or they are not going to want to work with you.
No.
This is a long process, and it's a lot of time spent with your agent, and so you have to like them,
Mhm.
right? Like, they have to want to spend time with you.
Well, you need to exude a calm and reassuring presence.
Yes.
Because people need that in this process, where they don't do this all the time. It's a
Yeah.
very scary situation for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to kind of take that stress off of them and have them feel confident that, like, you're going to get the job done.
Right.
Right.
And on the team, we try and offer the resources like having leads, creating opportunities for open houses, these kinds of things. But if you don't take that and use the right energy with it, you're
Right.
not going to go anywhere.
And that's the thing, is one of my contracts currently, and then I also have a listing coming next week. It was an open house. It was from an open house, and
awesome.
I met her that one day, and obviously talked throughout the whole
connection.
open house, made the connection, and we continued to work with each other. We finally found a house that she loves. That one's under contract, and then we're going to be listing her home next week. And so I feel like that would not have happened had she not trusted me,
Mhm.
or felt comfortable with me from the beginning. So I hope if she were to be asked that question, she would feel the same,
Right.
you know, because I just think that you're not going to put this much trust into somebody that you don't
And
feel that.
I think she definitely would say that because we are being given the opportunity to list her house. So,
Right.
and that, it happens sometimes where somebody will use an agent to purchase a home and they don't use that agent to sell because they don't have total confidence in this person. But you are being asked to list her home.
Right.
And I think it just shows the confidence that she has in you and the security she feels when you're representing her, that she went through the buying process with you and is like totally trusting you with her sale as well, which is a huge deal.
Right, yeah. No, and then, you know, I have another one. I actually have a listing appointment this afternoon.
Congratulations.
So hopefully, you know, that, and I have been working with her as well to buy, so we're about to put a contract in on a house, and then, you know, hopefully gonna be listing her home.
No big deal.
So hopefully that's two more.
Pipeline's full.
You know, I just think that it's, I honestly think you can't go wrong when it's a person-centered thing, right?
Mhm.
And I always say that about honestly anything, right? As long as it's person-centered, as long as you are navigating whatever it is you're navigating and you're putting a human in the center of it, and you're doing all of your work around what is best for that person,
Mhm.
then like you can't go wrong, right? Like that's obviously
I
there's
love the
so
way you
much
said
there's
that.
so much more to real estate than that, right? Like you have
No,
to
you're right,
you have to be able to do more than that.
Putting
But
the client at the center of it
Right.
and what's right for them, which is really embodies the culture we try to create in the Custom Life Realty Group, is this process needs to be customized for the client.
Right.
Because we're trying to curate an experience that works for them.
and you have to be able to almost be a chameleon and tailor yourself and your approach and customize it to whoever your client is,
Mhm.
right? Like not everybody is going to be the same. They're not going to have the same goals,
The same needs.
the same needs. They're not going to have the same personality. So like you have to kind of be able to
Right.
navigate
Their
yourself,
communication
their
preferences are gonna be
communication
different.
style.
Mhm.
So like you have to be able to step into that space and kind of do a quick examination about, okay, what do
does
we
this
have
person
here?
need from me?
Right. And then be able to tailor yourself around their needs
Mhm.
so that you can make sure that you are getting them what they need, right?
Absolutely.
And it's just so different, you know, depending on the person.
100%. What would you say to somebody who's thinking about getting into real estate? And you're coming in, I mean, Christine's coming into real estate at a very difficult time. There are a lot of seasoned agents that are struggling right now. It's a weird, tough market. Inventory's low, interest rates are high. So it's like somehow weirdly, it's like competitive, but also nobody can buy. Like it is the weirdest market. And I've seen it coming for a while. It's been like Wild West for a minute, and I've been like, it's gonna get harder. Like, buckle up, guys, let's go. And you're coming in just with this awesome attitude and approach and this hustle and a confidence that clearly is working. What would you say to somebody who's thinking like, is this a career path that I should pursue?
So I think that if you're trying to figure out if it's right, like you need to evaluate what are your goals, what is your reason why, and I know that with not only just on our team but within the brokerage, that's a big one, right? Like you have to know what your reason is for this,
What
because
is your why?
because it is going to be hard at times, and so you have to be able to go back to that reason to keep you in it, right? Like what do they say, like a large percentage of agents quit within the first 2 years. And
Most
I think,
of us don't make it.
right, and I think like you really have to be able to ask yourself like why you want to do it, and if you do feel like it's right for you, I feel like you have to go into it with almost no expectations. I think that if you are going into this field as a way to get rich fast, that's not going to happen. If you go into it with really like just thinking that you're gonna excel, that you know you just can't have these grand expectations. You have to just kind of go into it with an open mind and just do it and see what happens and just keep going, right? Like you just have to keep doing it. But I came into this with like this idea that, okay, I might make money right away, or I might not make money for months, and that's okay, right? Like, that's all right.
I think your focus was learning.
Right.
And doing the work
Yeah.
and learning through the work, which if that is your focus, then it's gonna take you down the right path.
And I feel like if we have expectations and they're not being met, then you get frustrated, right? I say the same thing about parenting. If you have an expectation for your child and they don't meet that expectation, you're gonna get frustrated. And I think it's just better to kind of have more of an open mindset with it instead of coming in with very rigid thoughts on how it's supposed to look, right? And, you know, I think some of that goes into social media. There's real estate is kind of very prominent in social media right now. And I think there's probably some things out there that aren't accurately portrayed what it's like to be a real estate agent. I mean, we all know, you know, Selling Sunset on Netflix. Like, I think there's this
You're telling
idea.
me this doesn't feel like Selling Sunset?
I mean, yeah, pretty close. But I think there's this idea of what it's like.
6-inch heels and my titties out. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
I mean, we could.
We could. You know what? We could.
We could try it and see how
your
it
vibe
works.
attracts your tribe. So who knows who we would end up around.
So I just think, you know, understanding that it's not, it's gonna be hard, but like, so what? Anything you do is hard.
Well,
we do hard things.
Nothing worth really having
Right.
is gonna be easy. I love the parallel you drew between real estate and parenting. I've recently kind of recognized in myself that most of the time if my kids are having a meltdown, it's an unmet need that they have. And oftentimes when I find myself getting frustrated, it's because I'm in a hurry.
Right.
Like I have expectations of our timeline and how things need to go, and I didn't set us up for success. And now I'm getting frustrated with them for not meeting my timeline on something.
Yep.
Why am I in a hurry?
Yeah.
They're not in a hurry. Why would they be in a hurry?
Yeah.
It's not their agenda.
Yeah. And I think it's too, like, recognizing when it comes to kids and parents where they're at, right? And coming to, like, meeting them where they are. And it's the same thing with clients, right? Meeting them where they're at, because
and accepting that.
Yeah, like some things might seem like common sense to us because we do it all day, every day. But taking a step back and realizing, like, oh, maybe they didn't understand that because that's not what they do
This
every
isn't
day.
their world.
Right. And with kids, it's the same thing. Like, they're still learning, just like clients are learning.
They're brand new here.
Right. Yeah. They're basically our little children.
Just our babies. Our clients are
That we
babies.
just take very good care of.
And the houses.
Right.
Our baby infant houses. That's right. Gosh, thank you so much, Christine.
Of course.
I love hearing you talk about this because I've just been like so impressed by you, and I'm so proud of you and so excited for everything you're gonna do. I'm just blown away already. But is there anything else you want to add before we stop the video that I didn't touch on or ask about?
I don't think so. I mean, I just feel like I feel very blessed to be where I am, and I feel like every day that I get to do this, I wake up thankful, right? Like it's literally just an overwhelming feeling of gratitude. And so every single person that allows me to continue doing this, I just like have such gratefulness for that, because this is not where I saw my life 6-8 months ago. And so just
And here we are.
Right. And to get to do it every day, and for people to trust me, you know, with this process, I'm just so grateful for that.
Well, I love hearing that. I said a prayer the other morning about my own attitude, and then I prayed for everyone on the team that we would have gratitude and show kindness. And I think when you do focus back on the gratitude we have for the opportunities that we do have, it helps you
Absolutely
approach this with an attitude that lends itself to accomplishing more in this role.
It changes your mindset. I mean, especially, you know, I'm coming into this market not knowing any other market. So to me, it is,
This
right?
is the way
just
real
is.
estate is.
But for somebody who has been in a different market and seen some, you know, seen it go a different way, I feel like it could be a little challenging to have gratitude for what we have. But I do think
gratitude for all the work we have.
Right. I do think when you flip that mindset, though, mindset is everything. And so when you shift it and you start to be thankful for the clients we're able to help in this, it's different, and you'll approach it differently every day.
That. Thank you, Christine.
Yes,
I
of course.
appreciate you, and we will visit back as time goes on and see how Christine's doing, because she's gonna do big things
Hopefully
and help
next
people in a
time
big way.
we'll have a couple more to talk about.
Oh, I'm sure. They're in the pipeline.
Yes.
It's happening. Thank you, everybody.